Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the southern U.S. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we'll start with the satellite picture here on Tuesday morning, and it's looking like a beautiful start to the day across the entire southern region. A few clouds across southwest Texas, maybe a few clouds accompanying the cold front as it makes its way through the southeastern U.S., but generally sunny skies, dry conditions, and pleasant conditions across the south. As you head toward the southeast parts of Florida, it is a little bit on the warm and muggy side, but you make your way back toward the west. Oklahoma and Texas, some much cooler, drier air there, 40s and 50s across the Ozarks down into central and western Texas this morning. So you look at the last 72 hours of precipitation, you can see the impacts from Delta there. We're starting to lose the rainfall across Louisiana and southern Mississippi. Eric did a great recap on Delta and its impacts in yesterday's ag forecast video. If you're curious about Delta and its impacts, I invite you to go back to that video. We're going to be looking ahead at a much drier next 5 days across the southern U.S. A chance to dry out here. We do have to talk about the potential for a couple of central U.S. storm systems as we get into next week that could potentially bring some rainfall to parts of the southern U.S. But by and large, a drier next 5 days, an opportunity to dry out. And that again is because of the pattern here over the next 5 days on the left and the 5 days that follow on the right. Over the next 5 days, we'll keep this pattern doing something like this. The trough oriented from northwest to southeast, that keeps the feed of cool, drier air on from the Canadian prairie down into the Midwest and eventually down into the south. That's why we're cooling off now. That's why we'll get this dry air over the next 5 days, the opportunity to dry out after, several weeks of tropical systems and heavy rainfall across parts of the southern U.S. Now, as we head into next week, we flip the orientation of this trough from northeast to southwest. This is what potentially allows us to tap into the Gulf once again, bringing some heavier precipitation into parts of the midsection of the country. Now, over the next 3 days or so, with the high-resolution NAM model, we'll keep it dry across the Corn Belt, just the opportunity for a couple of isolated thunderstorms across parts of Florida and southeastern Georgia as we head through the afternoon today, and then the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. We'll see another front sweeping through the Corn Belt down into parts of the southern U.S. as we get into Thursday, but this one really going to be sucking on a lot of dry air across the southern U.S., so maybe the opportunity for a stray shower or storm, but this one not expected to bring much in the way of measurable precipitation to the southern U.S. And there you have it, the total precip accumulation between now and 1 p.m. on Thursday, keeping it pretty dry across the south. Just the opportunity for some isolated showers and storms, I think, across parts of Florida into far southeastern Georgia. Now, we'll have to talk about some strong winds. I think that's really the main story across the eastern two-thirds of the country. We'll be keeping it dry, but with this next front that comes in Wednesday night into Thursday, we'll watch for some very strong winds, especially across parts of the high plains, through the panhandles, portions of Oklahoma down into Texas. Those winds could be gusting 40 to 60 miles per hour, so some blowing dust, high winds, dangerous conditions driving on east-west highways, and the potential for an increase in fire weather conditions as well. We're looking at the fire weather forecast from the Storm Prediction Center, just looking at a low-end risk and elevated risk across Colorado today, but we do expand a critical risk across parts of the Texas Panhandle into New Mexico tomorrow. And again, that is a product of the low humidity, the cooler, drier air coming in, and those very stronger winds on the backside of the front. Now, this is the pattern as we head through the next 5 to 10 days. Over the next 5, we'll continue to bring these systems kind of pinwheeling around the upper level low situated across the Hudson Bay, parts of west central Canada. That's going to keep the feed of cool, dry air coming from the Canadian prairie down into the southern U.S. at times. Again, we'll see that front making its way through today. We'll see another front sweep through on Thursday. But as we get into the end of the weekend, early next week, we start to kind of change the alignment here such that these systems are able to deepen a little bit more across the western half of the country. That's what once again opens up the Gulf of Mexico to the potential for some northward moisture transport and some more significant organized storm systems and precipitation events across the central U.S., potentially clipping the south as well. Now, we'll jump through that quickly. We'll go ahead and just move on to the precipitation forecast because, again, it is relatively quiet across the south as far as we can reliably see over the next 5 to 7 days. So the cold front sweeps through the area today. Much cooler, drier air moving into just about everyone except for Florida, who's going to keep that warm and muggy air mass in place with the a little area of high pressure just off the Atlantic coast. So showers and storms still in the forecast this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, Thursday afternoon across Florida and southeastern Georgia. As this front sweeps through Thursday night, maybe the chance for some scattered showers along it, but it'll be a quick in and out precipitation event, just enough to maybe kind of wet the pavement, wet the top layer of soil before we dry right back out heading into the weekend. The first storm system that really makes me think we could tap into some Gulf moisture swings in early next week, Monday into Tuesday. with the potential for another one on its heels as we get deeper into next week. Now, the details on this pattern, highly amplified. They're going to be very sketchy at best. Let's just talk about a dry week, or a dry finish to the week, windy at times across the west, with the potential that we're going to turn more active as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week. So there you have it. We're looking at the probability of picking up a half an inch or more of rainfall over the next 5 days over here on the left, and then days 6 through 10 on the right. As you can see, over the next 5 days, keeping it pretty quiet. Just a low chance for some showers along that front here as we get into Thursday. But then as we get into next week, looking for a much more high chance for some measurable precipitation across the midsection of the country. So where in the south am I most concerned about getting some more significant rainfall and thunderstorm activity next week? It would be across the eastern portions of Texas, Oklahoma, getting into the Ozarks, and then parts of the mid-south into the Ohio River Valley. Your high temperatures over the next few days, just to wrap it up, cooler air moving in today. We'll start to warm back up across the west tomorrow. It is short-lived, though. Check out the temperature change here. 90s on Wednesday afternoon, down to the 60s on Thursday afternoon. And remember, very strong winds coming in on the backside of this cold front. We'll see this cooler air making its way in on Friday to the south, 60s across the region. We're going to keep a cooler bias across the south all the way up toward the northern plains and the Great Lakes. Really, this entire region will be cooler than average as we head into the weekend and early next week. So the cool down lingers as we head into next week. Drier air lingers as we head into next week. Windy conditions at times, especially across the west. But then looking at a potential turn toward a more active pattern as we head into early next week.